Thank you so much for attending the Superintendent's Business Leaders Advisory Meeting. Your attendance today certainly show your interest in supporting Clayton County Public Schools, and we thank you in advance for all of you who have supported us over the years, and for those of you who are new today, interested in supporting us, we welcome the opportunity. Without further ado, I would like to welcome to the podium our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Morseys J. Beasley, who will go over the overview and the business for today, and we'll make sure that you stay on schedule. But we certainly thank you for taking time out of your day to visit us and learn more about ways that you can show your support to Clayton County Public Schools.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for being here on today. I know how busy you are as business leaders, and sometimes you have to do things from day to day that you hadn't planned on doing. So we appreciate you for accepting the invitation and to be a part of this advisory, and for scheduling today's event for you to be in attendance. In respect of your time, our goal is to allow this time together to be most fruitful, but very informational. And also an opportunity will be provided for you to give us some feedback, your thoughts, areas that you think we may be doing well in, areas that you think that we need to improve in, as we ensure that our students are college and career ready. College and career ready. We need to ensure as a community that our kids are taking full advantage of every opportunity that will afford them to improve their quality of life, which means that we've got to provide the best, the highest level of education that will assist them and that will support them in that effort. The purpose really, and the agenda has a pretty nice purpose there, but I think just to put it in layman's terms, the purpose is really just to ensure that we are producing for you as business leaders the best product, if you will, that is employable, that has the best skills, the best ability to think critically, the best ability to provide the service, the knowledge that you will need in order to grow your business. We realize that this community, the quality of life in this community is so impacted by the quality of education and the quality of the workforce. And so our goal is to ensure, to acknowledge, first of all, I want you to know that we acknowledge that we are producing a workforce for you. And we need your feedback and your support, your partnership and your collaboration to ensure that that workforce is exactly what you need that workforce to be. Not only are we producing a workforce for you today, we are producing a workforce for you. If you think about us as a school system serving students in pre-K to 12th grade, we're producing your workforce that you'll have in the next 12, 13, 14 years today. They are in our schools today. And so it's important that as we grow or as they matriculate through our school system, that they're being taught the way they need to be taught, the right skills are being developed in them, and we're preparing them for what you will need them to do when they're at that age where you can hire them. Clearly, we know that all kids don't go to college, and everybody needs to accept that as a reality, and that will not change until it all becomes free, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. Everybody's not going to college. And until there are no admission requirements, everybody's not going to college, and that's not going, so we have to take a balanced approach to this. We've got to ensure that kids are prepared to go to college, and they're prepared to go to work, and if they were like me, you had to do both. You had to go to college and what? Go to work. And that's just the reality. And so our goal is to ensure that our kids are prepared to navigate and to be successful in the realities that they have to deal with. What I'd like to do, first of all, is make sure we just introduce some staff members who are here so you'll know that these are individuals that will be reaching out to you as we try to expand our partnerships and as we try to ensure that we have support and collaborations in support of our schools. You may be hearing from these individuals. I want to immediately introduce, of course, Mr. Wendell Spiegel. Some of you have already been meeting with him. He's our new Chief of Engagement, Governmental Relations and Partnerships. And so you'll be hearing from him. Of course, we have Mr. Thompson, our Chief Financial Officer here. And many of you already know Jada Dawkins, our Chief Communications, Public Relations, and Marketing Executive. These are individuals that we're just working as a team to support our students. And that's really the work. I want our students to get exactly what they need to get to be what they need to be in life and to go where they need to go. Whether that is to go work for you, work for themselves, or to go study and earn a degree, whether it's a technical degree, a liberal arts degree, engineering degree, medical degree, etc. We want our students to be very much prepared. So please, I want you to feel free to share your insight, your thoughts, your expertise, your experiences with us, and allow us, as those who are uniquely positioned within the organization, allow us to take that information and inform our decisions and the work that we need to do to improve over time. It won't happen in 1 week, it won't happen in 1 month, it won't happen in 1 semester, but you should see, if we're following and doing it the right way, you should see improvement over time, significant improvement over time in the quality of the educational experience, in the quality of the product. And when I say product, I say that to only mean the purpose of this K-12 institution is to graduate students, period. And so if we're not graduating students, then something's wrong. And even today, the state released grad rates, and our grad rate over the last several years, we've gone from, I believe, 2011 and 51% or so, and now we're at 69.4%. We just trickled up a little bit last year. More work to do. Some schools went up. We had a few schools to go down. Everybody's above 60% now, which is a good thing. But we've got work to do. So this is our first year we've gotten everybody above 60%. And so that's a milestone. That's great. But you all know I'm not satisfied. Because that's great, again. Above 60 is good. But between 60 and 100, there's 40. And we can capture. We've got to get more of our kids graduating from high school. So our goal is to, right now we're about, again, 69.4%. The state is about 80%, 80.5% or 80.6%. So we've got about a 10-point, 11-point gap between us and the state. Our goal is to close that gap and to exceed the state. And we know we can do that. We know we can do it. So we've got to, of course, continue to refine our strategies, look at our data, ensure that we capture more students in the 9th grade before they are they make a decision not to come back to school. And so that's just our work, and we're continuing to engage in that work. But I'd like to share with you very quickly the areas of focus. And if you've been to any meetings this year, and as I look at the faces, all of you have, I just want to always start out with the 5 areas of focus. So you should have a brochure in your, that Ron will pass out to everybody. And if you will, on the inside of the brochure, it basically just has the 5 areas of focus. The first area being is producing those academically challenging and safe environments, grounded in our instructional priorities of literacy, numeracy, critical thinking, and integration of technology. What does that mean? We mean very clearly this. We want all students in all grade levels in every school, in every classroom, to be taught the grade level content, period. And we want them to be taught at the level in which the standard says they should be taught. If the standard says they should be taught at level 10, I don't want to see it taught at level 2. I want to see that standard taught at level 10. And as you well know, that is ongoing work. And so one of our areas of focus is to reduce and eliminate the variability in the quality of instruction that we see in our schools. Sometimes you walk in a classroom and instruction is just where it ought to be and exceeds your expectations possibly. And you walk next door and it leaves a lot to be what? Desired. And we know that that is problematic. oftentimes on the very same grade level, or a kid could have a great instructional experience in 3rd grade, and then when they get to 4th grade, it's less than ideal. That impacts the outcomes. And so our goal is to reduce that variability. So to that end, this year we've rolled out some high impact practices in all content areas for all grade levels. Very clear about what we expect to see in every classroom relative to high performance. And so we're monitoring that, collecting that data, observing classrooms and collecting data on instructional practices so we can eliminate the variability that currently exists. Our next area of focus is providing academic and wraparound support. In a minute, I'll basically share the data, which will basically highlight that we've got more students performing at the lower end of the state test versus the upper end, which means that if they're in, let's say, a 3rd grader or 4th grader is in the current grade and they had some challenges from the previous school year, they still got to learn 4th grade content, but they still have a lot of gaps from the previous grade. And therefore, we've got to provide that academic support, extra learning time, increased learning time, tutorials, Saturday school, etc., in order to close the prior grade level deficits, eliminate those deficits, but also support them to learn the current grade level content. And then there are times when things happen to students outside of the classroom that impact how they learn in the classroom, that wraparound support. And so while we're addressing the academic support, we're also finding creative ways to help students mitigate some of the challenges that are not necessarily academic in nature, but they impact what happens to the student and how the student learns in the classroom. Thirdly, we're working on professional learning. 3 areas in particular: ensuring that our teachers improve their content knowledge. As the teacher goes, so goes the children. And so you have individuals who have weak content knowledge, guess what? You've got low performance. You've got individuals who are pretty strong in their content knowledge and in their pedagogy. You've got higher levels of performance. So we're working to improve content knowledge and pedagogy, and that's a educational jargon word for the use of instructional strategies and assessment strategies. Not just the test that the state gives at the end of the year, but how do we assess throughout the instructional process to ensure that our students are actually learning the standards at the level of the standard, at the mastery, if you will. And lastly, in the area of professional learning is leadership capacity. We know, the research is very clear, schools that improve have good principals, period. I'm gonna leave it right there. And schools that consistently don't improve have less than good principals. And so what does that mean? We've got to work to improve the capacity of all of our leaders to be effective school leaders, which means we train them in how to use data, how to have good interpersonal skills, how to coach people up, how you build a team, how you set a vision, how you monitor the work, how instruction looks. Because sometimes we assume everybody knows what good teaching and learning looks like. And so I don't have any assumptions. And so in those areas, we're working to ensure that we have appropriate training for the various leadership pathways that exist within our school district. And fourthly, you will see an increased effort of engaging families and our community through the advisories, which you're participating in the Business Leaders Advisory today. The student advisory, we'll have faith-based leadership advisory. We have various advisories. That's one way we're engaging. Student advisory, I think, a parent advisory. But we're also working to ensure through our new division for engagement, we're working to ensure that we expand what we do to increase our parent visibility on our campuses. We want more mentors, so we're preparing to roll out a district-wide mentoring program. We work to eliminate some of the hurdles relative to volunteers paying for background checks so we can get more people in our schools. It is just self-defeating, if you will, for us to implement all these stumbling blocks to stop people who want to help from helping with our children, because we can't do it all. We can't do it all. education, you've heard it, it takes a village, it takes all of us coming together to work collaboratively in the benefit or for the benefit of our children. And lastly, you'll see an increased effort on communication, public relations, and marketing. We want to get information out in a timely manner so people can respond in a timely manner. We want to share what good is occurring in our district because we know that the viability of this community is very much dependent upon what people think and perceive about the school system. If you want to see a dying community, I can locate a dying school system or a failing school system. If you want to see individuals who make money off of their houses when they're ready to sell, locate a school system that's improving. And that may not be important to some people, but it's very important to a whole lot of us that we can at least at some point in our lives draw some equity out of these investments called houses. Would y'all agree with that? And so it's important and it all matters. And so one of the areas that you will see as we work to get the message out to our parents. I'm also having some very frank conversations about parents. All this stuff you say about the school system on Facebook, and you better stop all of that. I can't make you stop it, but I'm going to tell you the truth. If you want good teachers, because teachers go and they find that information and they make their decisions, and we're in a very competitive market in the Metro Atlanta area. Teachers have many options. They don't have to come and teach where? In Clayton. And so they're looking for successful schools. They're looking for successful communities. And it's important. So we're getting the word out that, everybody has their First Amendment rights. But just because you feel that way, that doesn't mean you need to post it. Y'all hear me? Because sometimes, we talk about the vacancies. And, in the last several years, we've had about 250 plus vacancies we carried throughout the entire year. This year, we're almost down to 100. But I like to tell people, while we're making a lot of effort, one reason we're making some improved effort is because people are hearing good things about our school system. And so people want to be a part of a winning team. People are not making decisions to move to be a part of losing teams. Does that make sense? And that's why it's important that everybody, somebody say, well, the superintendent needs to do a better job, and I do. We're going to do a good job. That's why we're down to 100 versus 250. But it's not just solely the responsibility of the superintendent to recruit teachers. As a community, we are recruiting what? Teachers. By what we say, what's released, and what's in the media, how we allow our children to, what we expect of our children. Because teachers, the number one group that recruits teachers would be teachers. And if they go out and say negative things about the community and the children, they may discourage their colleague teachers or peers from coming here to teach. And so, again, that marketing, that communications, that public relations is very important. And we want businesses like yourselves to support our school system, to feel good about what we're doing to produce the best product and to contribute, if you will, to the quality of life in our community. So those are our areas of focus. Now, let's talk about the data. People say, oh, you have to talk about the data. Yeah, you need to know what we're dealing with here. And some of you, I see Commissioner Warner and others, our elected officials, why don't you all just stand so we can at least recognize you. I see Tax Commissioner Baskin, Commissioner Warner. Do I see some others here? So we thank you all for being here today. But I want you all to see what the reality is today and what we're working to change. And that's why these 5 areas of focus, especially that number 1, is so critical. Number 2, they're so critical to what we are planning to do. Our goal is to flip this data. You hadn't even looked into the data yet, but I want you to remember that term. We are flipping this data. We are going to change our current situation. Somebody say, I don't know how you're going to do it. There are a lot of urban districts that try and say they're doing it and they hadn't done it. Well, I'm not the superintendent of those urban districts. I'm the superintendent of Clayton County. I don't get no accountability for that. I give accountability for where I am. I can't say if they had a strategy or if they didn't. But I know we got a strategy and we've got a community that's getting on the same page, going in the same direction. And I can assure you, when you get people on the same page, going in the same direction, you're bound to get some good outcomes. Good outcomes. So I want you to see very quickly, this is a 6-page document. I want you to go to page 1 of 6, if you will. And there are 2 charts here. The first chart at the top is English language arts. So take a second to locate that chart, and I want you to locate district. You see the word district? Now you'll see grades 3 through 8. You see that? And then you'll see 4 columns, one that has BL, DL, PL, and DS. You all see that? Let me explain to you those 4 groups. BL and DL are your 2 lowest performing categories. BL meaning beginning level, DL meaning developing level. PL and DS are your 2 highest categories. PL being your proficient level, DS being your distinguished level. We want students always in those 2 high categories. When they're in the PL category, that means they're performing on grade level for that subject area, for that grade. So I want you to see for 3rd grade in English language arts, the total that are considered proficient or higher. So locate the column that has %PL plus. You all see that? %PL plus, %DSL. For 3rd grade English language arts, what's the percent in that column? 21%. You all see that for 3rd grade? So right now, based on spring test, last spring, about 21% of our 3rd graders were proficient in English language arts. What's the percent for 4th grade? 27%. Let's go down to the 8th grade. What's the percent for 8th grade? 28%. Now I want you to compare our column that we just looked at for the district with the same column for the MRESA in Georgia. The MRESA being basically the metropolitan school districts, an average for the metropolitan. That would include Clayton, DeKalb, APS, Gwinnett, Cobb, Fulton, etc. Okay? Do you all see a gap there? Oh yeah. We need to see that. And then, of course, you can compare us to the state of Georgia. Now, off to your right where you see the columns there and the arrows, it lets you know if we improved or if we decreased, increased, decreased, or we basically stayed the same from the previous year. So you can see some up arrows, which clearly we improved, green arrows, some red where we seem to have decreased, and some arrows that are horizontal, if you will, meaning we basically did not change from the previous year. So that's ELA. I want you to look at the data for mathematics on the chart below. Let's go to 5th grade this time. So go to 5th grade for mathematics, and what percent were proficient and distinguished for our school district? 5th grade. Everybody see that? 21%. So about 80% were not. And look at, for 5th grade, look at where the MRESA is and look at where the state of Georgia is. You all see where they are? We got a gap, don't we? Now, if you know anything about this data, overall, we've got challenges in the state, don't we? Yeah, we've got challenges. But even without challenges, clearly, Clayton County is still below the MRESA and the state of Georgia. Of course, you can see the areas where we improved the changes from one year to the next off to your right. So let's go, if we will, to page 2 of 6. I want you to see on page 2 of 6. Now this chart, the first chart you see, or the chart you see on page 2 of 6, is for 3rd grade. 2 subjects reflected, language arts and mathematics. I want you to locate Clayton County. This is 3rd grade. Locate Clayton County. You all see all the metro school districts along there, along the side there in that first column? Locate Clayton County and go over to 2016, 2017. Locate the column that has percent PL, proficient level or higher, plus. What's our percent for language arts 3rd grade? For language arts 3rd grade, Clayton. Say it again. 21.3%. Do you all see that? Okay, what's our percent for mathematics? 28.9. You all see that? Now go back to the language arts column, 21.3. Look in that column, just that column, from the top to the bottom. Which county has the lowest percent? And do the same thing in math. And that's why you say, why do I say that? Somebody said, well, you shouldn't highlight your negatives. It's not about highlighting the negatives. People need to understand the gravity of our situation. See, some people may be satisfied with that. But starting at the bottom is one thing. Staying at the bottom is a mindset. Y'all hear me? And it's time for our community, inclusive of the school system, including the superintendent, the central office staff, the principals and the teachers, working in collaboration with the parents, the students, and the community at large, including all of you sitting here today and those who may not be here, business leaders, to get on the same page to flip this data. Instead of 21% performing at the two lowest levels, or lowest levels, we need 80% performing at the two what? Highest levels. It is time to change those outcomes. And so our strategy is to improve what happens in our classroom, but at the same time, remember it's a culture. You can get so acclimated to failure, you think that it's the norm, or it's okay, it's acceptable. That's a culture. We're changing the culture, creating a culture of high performance. And that's why we're engaging the various segments of our community, so we can all understand that we all play a role in changing the culture. If you will, go to page 3 of 6. You were just looking at 3rd grade. I want you to do the same thing for 8th grade. Locate Clayton County. Locate the column that has percent PL plus for language arts and mathematics for Clayton. And then look in the column to see where do we rank along within the MRESA. Does everyone see that? Clayton County Language Arts, grade 8, what's the percent or higher for proficient or higher? 28.4. And for mathematics, what's the percent for proficient or higher? 21.8. Look at those columns. Our percent is the lowest in each of those columns, isn't it? Room for improvement. Go to page 4 of 6. I want you to see. And you can take this with you. I want you to see how our students are doing at the high school level. On page 4 of 6, you see on the left-hand side of the table all the end-of-course test courses. 9th grade literature, American literature, Algebra 1, coordinate geometry, analytic geometry, biology, geometry, physical science, U.S. history, and economics. Let's just start with 9th grade literature. And you have a column that has percent proficient for 9th grade literature for our district. What percent for 9th grade literature for our district was proficient? 34%. And what's that percent for the MRESA? 58. And what's that percent for Georgia? 53. And see, and why do I say that? Because, I was always taught, my family, when you're behind, you run faster. Which means that as a community, our students right now are not performing at the level. Many variables have come into play. The number of vacancies. That impacts it, but it doesn't impact it that much. But it does impact it. And that's why it's important that we as a community start establishing some higher expectations for our students. Last year, as I monitored attendance, and this was my first year in the district, we had 60% of our students with 6 or more days absent from school at the secondary level. 60%. Now, how do you plan on improving achievement when kids are absent from school that much? I remember being in school and I felt bad. My parents wouldn't let me miss one day, even if I was sick. Somebody said, well, they were harder back then. Well, they may have been, but it did me good because it created a work ethic. We've got to get our kids in school. And so this year you would have noticed, if you have children in the school system, we tightened up on our attendance protocol this year because we need students in school in order to flip this data. If you will, again, you'll be able to go through the rest of that. On page 5 or 6, I want you to see the percent of kids who are reading at grade level or above. And so on the top chart, you have the percent who are reading at grade level or above for each grade level. I won't go through all of those for you, but notice percent grade level or above for 3rd grade is 58%. And if you go down to 8th grade, the percent is 69%. So we've got still some work to do. And then on the 2 bottom charts, you can see what the percent is for the 9th grade lit and the American lit, percent reading grade level or above, if you locate the year 2016, 2017. And the last page, the last chart, is the grad rate from 2016. They just made public the grad rate for 2017 that I just shared, but it's not reflected on this handout. But I want you to see for all of our high schools what the grad rate was in 2016, and we'll be sending out a press release on the grad rate for all of our schools and the school system at large, 4-year cohort grad rate for 2017. An improvement, a small improvement, but nonetheless an improvement. But our work is to close the gap. So, at this time, what I'd like, Dr. Chillis is going to get ready to come and share some information, but let me just share with you some high-level strategies that we're using to close the grad rate. We realize that we lose a lot of students in the 9th grade. Normally, if you can get them through the 9th grade, you can retain students and get them graduated from high school. So we've amplified our efforts to monitor our 9th grade students. But we also have to make sure we have conversations with instructors and principals, and we're doing so, to ensure that it's just not acceptable for students to be failing, not just at the end of the semester, but failing throughout the course. Providing them the support, the tutoring, academic support that they need so they can be successful. So we're working on that regard. We're also implementing credit recovery. If a student, for whatever reason, fails a course, we're not waiting to make up the credit years down the line. We are providing an immediate opportunity to make up, to recover, if you will, the credit. And so we're working to ensure that our students are taking full advantage of credit recovery quickly, so they can get those credits. Number 3, we know, and Dr. Chillis will go over this momentarily, we know that if a student is connected to a career pathway, their grad rate is about 94%. Is that right, Dr. Chillis? 92.8%, 93%. So what does that mean? Students who are connected to a career pathway, they graduate from our high school and our high schools in our county on average at a rate of 93%. So if everybody would get connected to a pathway, then it seems that we should be able to take that 69 grad rate up to somewhere in the 80s rather quickly. Y'all hear me? And so we're working with our principals and our counselors to ensure that we get every student connected to a pathway. And you'll see part of this conversation is to give us feedback. First, inform you about the pathways we have, because sometimes I hear people say, well, when are they going to let kids prepare for career technology jobs or different pathways? And I have to always educate people and say, we have pathways in all of our schools. Well, I didn't know that. And so part of today's conversation is to make sure you all are armed with information, so when you go and you have your conversations with your employers and those you do business with, you can share that Clayton County does have career pathways in all of our schools. So those are just a few of the strategies. So I'm going to pause here and ask Dr. Chillis to come and talk about why it is so important. Career technology. We have academic pathways, but we have career technical pathways. But getting all of our kids connected to a pathway is part of the strategy relative to improving our grad rate in our county. And we need all of you, our parents, those of you that are parents, everyone. And some people need to really challenge their own thinking. Sometimes they think, oh, I don't want my child doing the technical. I'm telling you, that is the wrong philosophy, the wrong mindset. Because there are many technical jobs that make a whole lot more money than 4-year degree jobs. And you got to help people understand that. And I don't mind telling anyone that is a misconception. You want to really rethink that. Our children, everybody's not going to earn a liberal arts education. But everybody needs a skill. And everybody needs a job. And I don't mean any job. They need a job that can take care of themselves and their families. And so right now, I'm going to give it over to Dr. Chillis to share the information.
Thank you, Dr. Beasley. Everyone say 92.8. 92.8 of our students in CTAE graduate. And when does that start? As early as pre-K, and that's in career inspiration. So we inspire careers at the pre-K level, where students are talking about careers. So in grade 2, they are saying, I want to be a botanist. I want to be a planetarian investigator. I want to be a neurologist. I want to be a scientist, or whatever it may be. That's at 2nd grade, pre-K through 2nd grade. Middle school is all about career visualization, okay? So at that time, students are visualizing careers that they may be interested in. And at the middle school level, those paths are healthcare science, business ed, engineering, family and consumer science, as well as communications. And that will be equivalent to audio video production. But then it's high school, where students really start to have career preparation opportunities, where they're enrolled in a career pathway. They take 3 courses under a given pathway. They sit for an industry-recognized credential. They have opportunities for work-based learning, which is a school-to-work opportunity, but then they also have an option for dual enrollment. And this is all before they graduate. In addition to that, most of you, some way, somehow, I've met you, or you do serve on the CTAE Advisory Board. So you know that I'm constantly talking about apprenticeship opportunities, internship opportunities, co-op opportunities, where a student just need a job. And so in CTAE, we have all of these things to make sure that our students are ready for high demand, high skilled, high wage occupations. Isn't that right? Directly aligned to the high demand initiative with the governor's office. So you all have a folder with a lot of great information in it. But I want you to look at the one that has the title, CTA in a Glance, 18 Things to Know. And I just want to highlight a few things that you can share to continuously advocate for CTAE in Clayton County Public Schools. If you look at number 4, we have 14 industry certified programs. What does that mean? It means that SHRM has come in to one of our business ed pathways, and they have said, you know what, this program has reached its apex of quality. This is a quality program. The instruction, the lab design, the teachers, and the learning that's happening in that classroom. So we have 14 certified programs, not just business ed, engineering, healthcare science, and audio video production, along with marketing. We have 5 school-based enterprises. What is that? That's students who are in a marketing pathway, culinary arts, and even engineering, who run that classroom as a business. So it's run and operated by students every single day. And of course, they generate income, and they're able to do various things. We've been calling our field trips visioning opportunities. So they're going out and they're imagining themselves in business and industry through funds that were generated through the school-based enterprise. We have 1,683, sorry, I couldn't get that out, you guys. 1,683 pathway completers. Those are students who took 3 sequential courses under a concentration. They've completed that pathway. Out of that, 563 attained an industry-recognized credential. That would be with NOCTI. That would be with ASC. That's for automotive. I know Baranco's here. So if a student needs to have a credential in electrical, we offer that before they graduate from high school. For those, I see ATC is here if it's computer science, Julie Gilliard. If a student needs a A+ or C+ certification, they attain that before they actually graduate. Look at number 6 with me. Work-based learning for the 2016-27 school year, our students made over $1 million in earnings. We want that number to triple. We want that number to triple. But those are students in straight employability skills, placements, or internships, okay? And if you turn on the back, let's look at number 19. You'll see in your folder there's existing pathways that we have here in Clayton County, but these are the progressive CTA pathway offerings that we're looking at. And guess what? This is not an exhaustive list. Why? Because there's several careers that we may not even know exist that we're going to add to this list, or those that we may not have captured. But what we do have is aligned to job projection data. And it's aligned to STEM careers. And how far out are we looking? To 2024. Not 2020, not 2018, but 2024. So you can see some of those offerings there. And if you look under the cluster information technology, the pathway programming, you'll see that we're looking at artificial intelligence. Because you already know Amazon, Microsoft, IBM, and all of these companies are already racing to have the best AI product and solution, okay? One more thing I want to share with you, and that is this chart. And don't strain yourself trying to look at it, so just follow the columns and not the words. I can send any of this to you all electronically. The bigger chart is up in the front, but I want you to see how we communicate our CTAE pathway offerings, not only with our advisory board members, but our counselors, our parents, our student, or anyone that wants to see it. We start first with, what does the job projection data say? And based on that job projection data, what's first, second, third, fourth, fifth in ranking of priority careers? Then based on those career clusters, what are the CTSOs, Career Technology Student Organizations, which focus on students being leaders and competing amongst others who don't look like them? So those are the CTSOs, and then we list all of the pathways. And if you just wanted to count, you could, but it's over 25 pathways that we offer within our district. The courses that are offered are listed as well, but then where we have those courses listed at a high school, including if the programs are industry certified. Then at the bottom of that chart, you're going to see all of our middle school offerings. In addition, our support for special education. So this is a really great chart that you could use or pull out at any time. As a business partner, I'm trying to figure out how I can really align to Clayton County Public Schools. This pathway chart will help you to do that. Dr. Beasley, is there anything that I missed? Because I want you to share our newest initiative, Dr. Beasley, around the internship. Wait, okay. All right. Thank you all so much.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Chillis. Dr. Chillis and I have been discussing the idea that we need more of our kids involved in internships. And so we're working to create a structure that will allow you as businesses to offer our students, whether it's a paid paid internship or a non-paid experience called a field experience, where our kids at the high school level are in your businesses and they're learning and they're participating and they're developing those skills. You know, so often, you know, people criticize our young people and say they don't have the skills, they don't have the skills, they don't have the skills. Well, you won't ever develop work-based skills if you're not in a work setting. You know, classroom is great. It's a great start, isn't it? But there's nothing like going into that setting and developing and using those skills. So you will hear more in the upcoming weeks and months relative to some opportunities. We want to ensure that our students at our high schools in our county have access to participate in internships, externships, paid field experiences, etc. Those who are currently in some career technology courses and those who may not necessarily be in those career technology courses. And so we're just going to count on you, and I'll tell you, I'm a marketing person at times, and when I send out my communication to the parents, I'm gonna say, these are the businesses that support our children, and so let's do our part to support those businesses. I just think it's something fundamentally wrong in a community when people benefit from a community, but they don't give back to a community. Anybody knows, I'm gonna keep it real. I just don't believe in sowing in fields and other people reap the harvest. Does that make sense? So when a community pays, and our folk are working hard in this community, some of them working 2 and 3 jobs to pay taxes to keep schools going and to keep roads looking good and provide, the infrastructure, if you will, for all of us to have businesses, people to drive down the street to get to us. Does that make sense? I think the least we can do is tell that community that we want to employ your children. You say, well, I got a family business. That's all right. Make me a part of your family. Listen, one of us, 2 of us, we're not going to take it over. Make room. Does that make sense? And just so you'll know, my strategy is those who support our children, I'm going to support them. And I'm going to recognize and acknowledge them. And those who don't, we'll figure out what we're going to do to get you to do. Support our children. And I know none of you, but I just think it's important that we understand that we can't complain about our children robbing and that they don't do that. The few that do it, they do it for a reason. I've learned that oftentimes a hungry man will steal just so he can eat. But we want to take away the excuse for stealing by ensuring that the hungry man has a what? A job. And it's incumbent upon us. If we're in business, why do we exist as a school system? Why do you exist as a business? I've had businesses. Why do you exist? You exist, of course you want to make money, but that can't be your sole purpose. Your purpose has to be to change the quality of a community, a life, the lives of others, whether it's your family and those who your family that live around your family, your community. And so I just want to encourage you, and my ask of you all today is this: as we prepare and frame up these internship initiatives, I need you all to say, listen, I'll take 1 or 2 from every high school. I can't pay them, but I can provide some field experiences, or I can pay 1. But we just need everybody to step up to the plate and show our community that we fundamentally care about what happens to our children. And we're going to offer every opportunity. So the school system has its part to do. The community at large has its part to do. The business community has its part to do. And if all of us come together collaboratively and do our part, we will see the quality of life in our community greatly, significantly improve. It will occur. And the last thing I'm going to say, and we'll open the floor, I want you to look at the visual there. This is our framework that we use with our principals and teachers to talk about how do you produce a high-performing school and a high-performing school district. A high-performing school district is basically a conglomeration, if you will, of high-performing schools. And we know, but the research is clear, there are 9 characteristics of high-performing schools and school districts. And basically, I want you to know, this is my research base that guides my work. We are going to be a high-performing school district. And so I'm working to ensure that our goals are clear and shared focus, high standards and expectations for all. And I make no apologies for that. We as a community should make no apologies that we expect our children to come to school, behave themselves, and go to class. Period. And absent, short of that, it's unacceptable. Our processes, collaboration and communication, that's what this is for. Alignment with state standards, And then, of course, we're monitoring what's happening in our classrooms, learning and teaching. And then our supports. I mentioned professional development, very focused. Supportive learning environments and family and community involvement. And that's basically what I'm asking you all to consider. Let's involve our students at another level. And notice the center. Of course, effective leadership encompasses all of that, number 3. But notice our students are at the center. Everything we do, and I can assure you, everything that comes out of this administration will only be to lift up our children so that they will have a fighting chance, considering all the forces in this earth that are working against them. Give them a fighting chance to be successful. I'll pause here to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Give me some feedback. Can we do it? Oh, we're going to do it. We will. Can we do it? Yes, we have to. We have to. And if we don't believe that we can, then we shouldn't be here, should we? We shouldn't be here. So, Jay, you got a mic?
Yes, we have one mic.
Dr. Beasley.
Volume back there. I think.
Marshall is here. How are you, sir?
We need to give Dr. Beasley a hand.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, how do you incorporate faith-based notions in organizations, groups, and connect them to this concept as a part of the overall process?
Well, I'll just share what we're already doing. We have a faith-based advisory. And many of our faith-based organizations, they are partnering with our schools right now. And so they're working with schools to identify needs and working with principals to support the work that's occurring on those schools. And the faith-based advisory meets, I want to say every other month or so, or every few months, every 2 months. So we met one time this year so far. We met in, I want to say in July, was it? And we'll be meeting again in the upcoming weeks or so. And we see an increasing number attending our faith-based advisory meetings. And so just as we have this forum with you all as business leaders, we have a similar forum with them as faith-based leaders, but we also talk about ensuring that they partner with schools. So many of them, and I want to say probably all of them, have partnered with schools throughout our district. And we're encouraging those who may know of other, sometimes pastors have not necessarily piped in to what's going on. If they're part of certain pastoral associations, they are aware in the county, but there may be some more associations that we may not know about. If you know about those, let us know, and Jada will get those individuals added to our database, and they'll start getting the communications. And what I've observed is if they know, they will come. They will participate. And we're working with them to ensure that they are connected to the schools that are possibly immediately in their areas that their congregations are located, and they're working collaboratively with those principals to provide support. And it looks different from school to school or partnership to partnership, but that's okay. They're working together to support our students. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
I was just looking at the numbers on page 4 of 6, and there's numbers that just jump out at me.
It said page 4 of 6.
Right. And 260 in high school teacher voice comparison. And 2 numbers which is pretty obvious are coordinate algebra and analytic geometry. The number is 5. Everything else needs to be double digits in these 2 areas. So what changes? How are we addressing that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So there are several variables that are at play with this data. Oftentimes, students take the coordinate algebra or the analytic, I'll just say algebra and those are new tests, but they often take them in the 9th grade. And so that's enough said right there. We've got to ensure, and oddly enough, sometimes we've got to continue to work with our principals on ensuring that those teachers assigned to teach those classes are your best teachers. Sometimes the best teachers want to teach the calculus classes in those upper level classes. So we've got to continue to help individuals put the right teachers with those students. But we also find that as students go from middle school to high school, if they already have gaps from the middle school experience, then it dampens or it represses, if you will, the progress that they could make in the next course. And that first high school course would probably be the algebra course. And so we're working to ensure that we get students up to speed, up to standard in the middle school, at the same time training teachers to ensure that they can deliver the content and even address sometimes when kids come into algebra and they may be missing some prior skills that we know are fundamental to being successful in algebra. Relative to staff development, we are working right now, and I'm pleased to say we have instructional site facilitators, and right now every school is getting support. Their math teachers are getting support to help improve the pedagogy and their content knowledge. And so we should see, I'm hoping and expecting to see a bump up, if you will, a significant bump up in our outcomes for mathematics. I would like to look at some possible initiatives where our kids are taking algebra in the 8th grade. There are varying philosophies about that. But I do know as a former high school math teacher that 2 years of algebra won't hurt you at all. As a matter of fact, it makes it more likely that you'll be very successful getting to the algebra 3s and the calculus. Because you want to get you want a student to be very fortified, if you will, in those algebraic concepts, which are so fundamental to so many other career areas. Oftentimes, and I have to say this, when I taught my students math, I always taught word problems. So I could show them how they apply it. You don't just teach a system of equations. There's a purpose for us having to develop systems of equations. When you got to have 3 equations to solve a problem. There's a reason for it. And so us training our teachers, making sure we have the right teacher teaching the right course, considering some additional initiatives. And next summer, we're going to do some more innovative summer programming to help ramp kids up as well. We will not just be focused on remediation. While we will have to have remediation to help some kids get to grade level, we've got many kids who are on grade level in their reading scores, but they're still struggling with some of these tests. And so we're going to work to have some creative programming next summer to ensure that our kids have some options to ramp themselves up with some good instruction and some strategies as well. Okay, so I guess I could say more, but I'll stop there. The issues, the variables are multifaceted, but we're identifying those root causes so we can address and ramp up and improve those outcomes.
Hello, Dr. Beasley, we would say, is there an initiative or a way that we could try to target either a curriculum, I don't have anything in mind, but we can make sure that Clayton County students leave with a specific set of soft skills, and just as we're talking about this in customer service, just greeting, even something things I talk to my nephew about, you don't have to FaceTime when you're eating. Y'all can hang up and have, eat and then talk. But literally that people aren't having those conversations at a district-wide level, it seems like it might be worth it. That's one soft skill. And the second one is, just because I, do financial associate, how can we embed something where we're teaching financial literacy to our students at a high school level? Because again, with college, oftentimes they get there and become, of course, victims of the credit card, like many of us. And I just also think, with Clayton County University just being promoted as, one of the best source and cost, directing our students there, but also thinking about financial literacy. So I don't get the like soft skills, financial literacy are the top two.
Very good. I'll start with the second one. Relative to financial literacy, we have currently an elementary school initiative going on where we partner with I want to say the library to help our students with financial literacy. Say it again. Operation Hope. And so that's happening at the elementary level. At the middle school level, we are working to implement, to provide our students an opportunity to participate in the Junior Achievement BizTown and Finance Park, which is it's about financial literacy. I don't know if you've been to the World Congress Center and you've seen that wonderful opportunity for students that many of the metro districts are participating in. And Clayton, our kids have not participated, but we've met with them this year and we're working to get our kids at the middle school level in grades 6 through 8, 6 and 8 in particular, participating. And at the same time, while we're doing that, they're working to develop one of those same centers in the Morrow Center. That will be a hub for like Clayton, clearly Clayton, possibly Henry County, and Fayette, and some other districts that would like to participate. So we're working in that regard. I will say at the high school level, let's not forget our students all take economics, which allows them to delve into some of the concepts that you may have mentioned. I think what we've got to do is get our kids to take the knowledge from the textbook to life. And we're open to ideas to help our students do that. And one thing I know we discussed, even with we're looking at some ideas about a career academy. Making sure we have a financial services in the career academy where they open up accounts and they get in the habit of using financial services and learning about financial services and figuring out, what financial services do you need to use or what decisions you need to make in order to better position yourself financially. And Dr. Chillis, anything else we're doing relative to soft skills in please share that.
That was an awesome question, and thank you for asking it. If a student is enrolled in a business education pathway, financial literacy is taught. It's an actual class on financial literacy. In addition, soft skills are taught in every single CTA pathway, from the middle school to the high school level. They're foundational standards that are normally taught in week 1 and week 2. How can we be better? Teaching soft skills every single day. So it's very valid, but Georgia DOE has built that into our curriculum, and financial literacy was added about 4 years ago. So thank you.
Okay, and then, so you mentioned financial literacy, soft skills, so I think I got both of your questions responded. Very good. So clearly more work to do, but you should have heard that we've got some things that are in motion to address that.
And don't forget parents, sometimes the skills still are.
That's true. So I'm gonna toss that idea to not to forget parents with those things. And that's important because oftentimes children do what they see, don't they? Very important. Very good.
Check 1 2 2 2 2. Check.
Yeah, that sounds. Okay.
I can speak highly of Dr. Beasley. I'm Tracy Gilbert, representing Hartsville Jackson, and I am just so thrilled to have you with us at Clayton County. On behalf of the senior leadership team, we take our support of the local school districts very seriously. We have a partners in education program where we are partnered with several of your schools as we speak, and we would love to see more of your students come out for our airport tours. It's a free program. I think that of the 70 or however many schools, that there should be a school from each district that comes and has an airport tour. It aligns.
Well, let me tell you my vision. My vision. We are going to take full advantage of that, but this is my vision. Our students live in the county that the airport, the world's busiest airport, sits in their county. There should not be any place that a plane leaves this county and goes to, our kids should be on those planes. And I don't mean every day because they got to be in school, but we ought to prepare our kids so that they're not looking at the others. Drive up to the airport that sits in their county with a passport and get on planes going to places around this world. And so I have a vision for a passport program where we help our kids get passports, and a vision for that our kids are taking, where we have groups of kids leaving our county during the summer and times that we're not in school, taking trips around the world. So our kids There's no reason. And so we're working to reignite or to bring back to life, resurrect, if you will, our foundations, because we really want our kids, our students, to take full advantage of that. So I'm glad to hear about the program there. You've got Mr. Steva here and Jada. They'll be working together to ensure that our students are provided every opportunity to take full advantage of that. And when I look at you, I also think that for the benefit of all, we are planning for this year, implementation next school year, 2 aviation programs in our school system. One at North Clayton High School and one at Morrow High School. And I know you've been a part of that think tank for the development and planning of the aviation program, but I want you to know that, and that would encompass many aviation careers, from piloting to mechanical jobs, etc. But we want to make sure that our kids are positioned to take full advantage of these opportunities that exist right in their neighborhood, right in the context of their environment, right in their county. Okay, thank you for being here and for availing and affording us an opportunity to expand what we're currently doing. All right.
I just have a quick comment, more than a question. The first thing is, I'm Commissioner Franklin Warren, I'm the newbie, but I tell y'all I'm your forever client, because I got 4 children.
That's
like
right.
We got
That's
public
right.
schools, high school, as well as elementary. So I want to say thank you, Dr. Beasley, because you are the first school superintendent that I've seen since I've lived in this county 20 years that has been as engaged in the community as you have been. So I want to thank you for that. That's first and foremost. The second thing is, I'm looking forward to the changes that you're implementing. I'm excited about it for several reasons. I just came back from the Georgia Economic Development Association conference, which I'm going to say, it broke my heart that there was only one Clayton County person there. I'm not saying it because it was me, but I was the only person there. But the one thing that I noticed is I was the only person from Clayton County there. Every time they went up on that screen and they were projecting out where the rest of the state of Georgia is going, you could easily pick out Clayton County. When I say easily, it's in a map that's in front of us, all the state of Georgia showing, and Clayton County was always dead last, fighting out, dead last. And you know what I found? You've got other areas that are getting all the accolades because of what you all, or what we're going to do together. So I'm looking forward to us not just implementing it, but I will tell you, we've got to take our own point.
That's right.
Because or else they're putting other people up on panels with free-to-lay, and they only have 16 people in the program, but they're crazy. But we're already doing things here, so I'm looking forward to what we're going to do collectively.
Very good.
Dr. Beasley?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Chillis, thank you for the invitation. I'm listening to what you're saying. And when you first came out, you mentioned a couple things. You talked about team building, you talked about goals, and it really aligns with what I do every day. I'm in the carcass, and I live with those concepts. And I never get my business. I think of entrepreneur, and I think that I was a very fortunate person as a young child because I could see my dad and the entrepreneurial spirit that he had. Many don't have that in their space. And so, as a business owner, I can see that my company could be a huge resource for the mentoring, the interns, in so many different ways. I've got technicians. People don't plan on being a technician, but some of these people make $100,000.
That's right.
Right. I mean, I've got, we focus on customer service, and how you handle a phone is really critical. And people don't realize the why behind it, the training that goes into it. The salespeople make a lot of money, but there's a process for it. My finance people, they can tell us, they can get the chance to kind of see how people have 400 credit scores, and there's others that have 700 credit scores, and there's a difference in how they pay their money when they buy a car. And the reasons why we can build, their own finances in such a way where they're safe as they start growing. And there's just so much that we can be a resource. So I applaud you. I echo Henry's comments about you having passion and would like to support you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Gerald McDowell with the Aerotropolis CIDs. And as I travel around the region and to other parts of the country and the world, one of the things that always comes back to us regarding this Aerotropolis initiative is our educational system. And we had an opportunity to have a presentation from Junior Achievement about 2 months ago, and we're working and we're supporting the effort to bring that here to Clayton County. But during that conversation, what came out is that we're not hearing enough about the successes. We know that there are positive things going on in the school system every day and every week. So I would like to encourage you with your communications department, get that out to us, and we will push it out to the region and to the world. We need to know on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, those achievements that are occurring every day, every week in the school system. They are hearing all the negative stuff. We need to change that narrative and make sure that they're hearing all the positive things. And so when they start hearing these positive things, it will minimize the negative activity that is coming out, because it's in every school system. The negative components that are in Clayton County school system is in every school system. But when you're not hearing enough of achievements and the successes, it overshadows what you are achieving every day. We're here to support you 100%. We applaud your efforts to date of how you are reaching out, as was said earlier. And what I can tell you, what's going to make a huge difference if we can come together and promote the successes that you're having in the school every day and every week currently.
Very good. And so, to help us close that gap, that information or that awareness gap, do we have the right person's contact information, email address that can get these? Because in the last few months, we've been really working to change that. And so my question would be is there somebody that needs to be a part of these groups that we've been emailing that heretofore have not been or has not been a part of this communication effort? And so if you could help us by giving us the names, and we'll add them to because we are working diligently. And I was somewhat pleased that you said that was 2 months ago, because I know a whole lot has happened in 2 months, and a whole lot more will continue to happen. And so, and we'll be counting on you all's feedback to let us know if you are seeing, that change, what you're hearing, what are you seeing, what are you feeling relative to what people are perceiving about our school system. And that's a very important function and role of this advisory as well. So if you could just ensure we get that communication, whoever that person is.
If I could just follow up real quickly. On our board, we have Delta, we have Porsche, we have Chick-fil-A, we have all these corporations. And so we have a Twitter feed, we have a Facebook feed. What we're noticing is when we push out a win for the Aerotropolis, they are pushing it out to their world as well. So what we need from the school system, if you can just give us a statistic or some kind of graphic, then we'll grab that, we'll push it out, and then they'll grab it, and then they'll push it out. And so everyone who's looking at Porsche, everyone who's looking at Delta, everyone who's looking at Chick-fil-A, they will see that graphic from Clayton County school system, and then regardless of what negativity they've heard, they will see firsthand that it's not all that's going on in the school system. We need to quickly change that and take control of the narrative of what's going on in the school system today. Then, when they find out what your plans are, then you will see that they will be more open and willing to join and lock arms with you when they get to hear about these successes. So if you can just push the information to us, I'll make sure whoever we need to connect with, we have all the contact information, that you have it accurately, and then we'll start.
Sounds good. Very good. Thank you.
If I may, Dr. Beasley, one thing, we are changing. As you know, this has been underway for the last several months, and we are proud of that accomplishment. And we are steadily trying to work with our stakeholders that's following the meeting today. But one of the things that I would recommend sending to you immediately after the meeting is the superintendent priorities, his action steps, his plans, what are his goals for the 2017-18 school year as it's rolled out. This is not even half the PowerPoint presentation, so it's the meat and potatoes, if you will, his plans and share the exciting news that's happening in Clayton County Public Schools.
If I could just add one quick thing, the reason I mentioned it about Gina is because we're sending out emails, because I do get them, it's great, but you know what I'm finding? When we're not present at the table, then the information's not going out. So what I really would like for us to do as a community, and I've been trying to make this happen, and we've been working together, is I take the information that you all give me, and I go back and I regurgitate it, So you speak about Clayton County everywhere you go, but we first got to have somebody in those rooms and present and participating. And we're talking about from every area of the city. The more we do that, the more that others will hear about us, along with everything else in social media as well.
And Commissioner, I think it would be important, so when you hear of these type of events, because sometimes as a commissioner, you may be informed about something going on economically that we may not necessarily be informed about. Just push it to us, and so we can have some people at representation at the table, whether it be me or one of my staff members or someone else. That would be important. And then, of course, we can encourage the others, using our influence and database. We can encourage others. You know, we will be at this table. It would be great if the rest of us were there as well. Yeah, that's great.
I would recommend that I carry Clayton County Public Schools app on my phone, so I can go to that, see what's going on.
Very good. Hopefully all of you have downloaded the app as well. Very good. Okay, any other thoughts or feedback? It look like you.
My name is Lonnie Robinson.
Lonnie.
Financial Group, and I wanted just to, as we're talking about teaching customer service skills to the students, and the discussion that just came up, that we have to make sure that we're meeting them halfway, because they're very high tech. We grew up very high touch, and as the technology increased, we had to make the switch. So we can't get so focused on what we want them to learn without meeting them halfway. And the other portion of that is that I'm looking at here is this chart here, and it's not some. I'm trying to phrase it so it doesn't sound like a negative. Number 5, alignment with state standards. As important as I know that is in the educational process, I wanted to ask if your end game is more exceeding than meeting.
Oh no, yeah, and you need to make sure you understand what number 5 really means.
That's why I'm just making sure.
That means we don't have any gaps between what is written and what is assessed, to ensure that our students are not placed at a disadvantage when they take a state assessment. But you should know, for the benefit of all, that when we say state standards, we're talking about national standards, because our state adopted standards in 2010, and our national standards are internationally benchmarked to ensure that our students are competitive around the world.
I just want to make sure I understand.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Yes.
Well, I just have a comment. A couple of things that you said that really stood out for me. And thank you very much for creating such a great forum here. But I'm without homes. I'm a new homeschooler here in the Metro Atlanta area. We're based out of Florida. But a couple of things. I strongly believe that if you can show a child, a young adult, where they're going, they're more apt to finish high school. One of the things I think community. And that's part of me being here, because I have a lot of community in Clayton County. And I want to dispel the negative of, I don't want to live there. Clayton County is a great place to live, you know. And for us, and for me, my commitment is to make sure that we're partnering with the school system, with the county, to make sure that we can build some affordable homes and nice communities where people who want to come and live. But I am committed to trying to commit some kind of internship with the students. And so that when they do get out of school, they do have a break. Maybe they can come and learn something from us.
That's
from
great.
Instruction or even office environment.
That is great. Make sure. Excellent. And that's what this is all about. So I'm sure Dr. Chillis, because we've got some programs where we can pull some kids who I'm sure would appreciate those opportunities. Okay. All right. Anyone else? All minds clear? Well, I don't know if my mind is clear, but this has been very helpful because this conversation will help us inform the work that we're doing to move our district to higher levels of achievement and to ensure that our kids are college and career ready. It takes this and we're in it for the long term. So thank you all for being here today. Jada will be sending out the next invite for the next meeting. We'll give you a break, but when you come back, we'll be, again, pulling on you to share your expertise, your insights, and your feedback. Again, thank you for being here on the day, and have a great rest of the afternoon.